There is breaking news this hour out of the Mike Bloomberg campaign after a universally panned debate performance where he was hit by Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden for having non-disclosure agreements with multiple women at his company. The candidate now says he's open to releasing them. His company has identified 3 NDAs and said the women can speak out if they want to. In a statement from his campaign, he writes, quote, "I've done a lot of reflecting on this issue over the past few days, and I've decided that for as long as I'm running the company, we won't offer confidentiality agreements to resolve claims of sexual harassment or misconduct going forward." Here was the former mayor speaking with the Rev Al Sharpton on the debates and this topic just a few hours ago.
You tell me, what did you feel about your performance, and what can we look forward to?
Wasn't my best night. Blame nobody but me. In the end, I get advice from people, but it's up to me to decide what to do. What I found, they were all yelling at each other, and they weren't focusing on Donald Trump, which is what we should be focusing on in the Democratic Party. And I didn't have a chance to really say what I wanted to say. Have another debate coming up on Tuesday.
They brought up NDAs, stop and frisk. Are you going to release the NDAs? I mean,
I will talk about it between now and then.
So you may do something different. You're not going to say?
Said I will talk about it between now and then. I want to keep you in suspense.
Suspense didn't do you much good. Joining our conversation, Democratic strategist Joel Payne, anchor and executive producer for NPR's Latino USA, Maria Hinojosa, and the Rev Al Sharpton, host of Politics Nation here on MSNBC, president of the National Action Network, fresh off that exclusive interview with Mike Bloomberg. So what he got up from that interview, and the campaign made the announcement about releasing the 3 women.
I felt he had pretty much forecast he was going to do something this weekend. We're airing the whole interview Sunday on my show. And I also feel that he was trying to get ahead of next Tuesday's debate and throw out there that he may do something different. Because I said to him, are you going to be more on the offense on Tuesday night? And he says, we'll see. But having been one that have fought and worked with Mike Bloomberg, I would be surprised if he did not come with some, let's say, attacks of his own. There are people around that stage that are vulnerable themselves on some issues, racial issues. And I think that they should not feel that they would not be called on the same standards that they've now set. So I would be very cautious if I was the other people in other campaigns.
You know, Tim O'Brien, who was a friend of this show and is now working on the Bloomberg campaign, I thought managed to articulate the best explanation for Bloomberg, better than Bloomberg was. He said he's a flawed man. And I thought watching the debate Wednesday night, if with every incoming attack, and all they did was attack, I mean, that seemed to be, you know, what, there were 6, 4 of them had attacked Mike Bloomberg as their strategy. None of them had attacked Donald Trump as their strategy. And we'll see if it works. There's a caucus on Saturday and another one next weekend. But it would appear that if Bloomberg could sort of settle into owning his own flaws, he takes away a lot of the arrows that they can point at him. Yeah, I screwed up, but I don't think any of them can win. I think I'm your best bet. If you don't want to vote for me, don't. I've made mistakes. I would argue so have all of them, but I can take it to Donald Trump.
So, you know, a lot of people talk about the fact that of all of the candidates, these people are not coming forward and apologizing for stuff. Bloomberg apologized for stop and frisk. I mean, he was behind it 100%, and he should be really transparent about that. He was behind it. And anybody who talked to him during this time, we knew he was 100% behind it. But he has apologized. In this interesting situation here, yesterday I had lunch with a group of women, New York women, very smart, all of them over 50. And they were just like, what was the matter with Mike? Why didn't he just say, I'm from a different time, we spoke like that, and to just be kind of really transparent about it. And it's interesting, he was able to apologize so, well, I don't think it came easily for him, but it's not in his nature, I think, Rev, we know this, to apologize. But in the statement that he's making for this NDA, releasing the NDAs, you can see the kind of counsel he's got. You can see the kind of women who are working with him and saying, oh, no, and you are writing this, and we are talking about culture change, and you are going to, I would have loved to have been in that room when the women saw him after that debate performance.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.